Hi everyone.
Hi.
Today we are here to talk about futurology. Futurology is an attempt to predict the future, and futurologists usually try, based on existing trends, whether technical, economic, or social, to extrapolate them into the future and obtain some kind of result. Do you have any comments on this matter? Anything you would like to add and explain in your own way, perhaps the concept of futurology?
Futurology itself is very interesting, but it relies on the past and the past that we have served as a foundation for us to interact with the future. But the extent to which we can let go of our past is the extent to which something new from the future will come to us. For instance, when the light bulb was invented, those who produced it initially fought for the principle that it should not last long because the first light bulbs, when they were made, could last for 100 years. But then the economic situation would, to put it mildly, not be in favor of the light bulb manufacturers. Instead of intensifying the process, meaning that we constantly limit the current things that serve us, we need to move towards scientific progress. But it is always important to understand that any scientific progress that creates conditions of novelty today will be economically disadvantageous because we can, let's say, create 2G internet, then 3G, then 5G, and each time we will spend huge amounts of money on it, and the new that comes will overshadow the old. And it turns out that a lot of effort was spent, a lot was created, and it needs to be removed and discarded. All of this depends on how ready we are for change ourselves. And if we talk about futurology, it is more or less the science of probabilistic reality. And if we have a conservative society, if we have conservative laws, if our values are strictly defined, and extremely, it will be difficult to change. So, unfortunately, any transition to novelty will occur through some serious cataclysms. That is, it will definitely be either wars or ecological disasters, or let's say trends in changing the demographic situation on planet Earth. The reason is very simple. If we clearly defined what our values are and why we live and develop, everything would be much simpler. And it seems that we have decided, but the word seems is key, because if there is a statement that our top priority is the person, then when we delve deeper into the issue, we find that our top priority is not the person, but the merchant. He is also a person, but this merchant prioritizes trade. And when he prioritizes trade, he creates potential opportunities for his trade to flourish. And then, at some point, he disadvantages the people around him to ensure his trade goes well. And it turns out that people are pushed to the background, taking a back seat. And when we look at governance, at medicine, when we look at science, when we look at education, the word trade comes first, like then medicine. It exists not for the sake of people, but to make money from it. And then we see that our state is not for the people, but to collect taxes and maintain certain government structures. And this is because we set our priorities incorrectly. Our tendency is not towards humanity, not towards ecological sustainability. As long as we trade, we will trade everything possible. But in this case, the person will always be secondary. And then we watch science fiction movies, and for some reason, we see that technological progress is quite high there. But for some reason, ecological sustainability, nature, well, suffers greatly.
Well, yeah, overall that's true. Because analysts who carefully study the past and layer their findings with today's economic trends, especially the push to monetize every new technology, often paint a bleak picture that almost every phase of development seems to come with its own inevitable apocalypse. Nevertheless, if we talk about science fiction writers, there are still those like Jules Verne, who once predicted the Bathyscaphe, The Simpsons, President Trump, and I think a bunch of other things. So there are more human values in creativity, right?
I would say not exactly. There is a trend of human development. If over time, all processes accelerate, from the speed of information processing to the speed of reproduction of anything. And in this case, we achieve accelerated progress, which elevates what we have to a higher quality level. If we take it broadly, there has been no progress in the last 100 years at all. That is, the steam engine was invented, and even when we have nuclear power plants, they serve the steam engine, and that's it. We stop there. Everything becomes natural, just like the internet pixels or these bits were invented a long time ago. And even when we make computer chips, we are simply reducing and improving what was invented a very, very, very long time ago. The linearity of our thinking is primarily due to the fact that we lack what can be called the abstract word love. And it is precisely this that is the foundation of everything. And when we lack love, we then have to pay for the principles we use to revive that dead horse that has long since stopped moving. When we revive it, we sacrifice economies, we sacrifice ecology, we sacrifice the possibility of people's longevity and happy family life, because we are reviving what has long been dead. And our task is to reach a new level of interaction so that people, the state, the economic situation, and progress in general are completely not tied to the past. And when someone says that we need to remember history, well, I will express my opinion. History is more extremely useful to us if we are going to go in circles and die, and we benefit from the novelty, which we will see how it combines within itself simultaneously harmony, sustainability, humanity, development, flexibility, intuition, and the opportunity to try something new that has never existed before, while always rewarding the points I just listed.
And today, are there really people who are interested in humanity at all? Because it really feels like some kind of magnet has occupied everything here and is trying to reduce it to some market model.
I would say so. There are many wonderful people who have an inner drive, a drive to go towards something remarkable and change the world for the better, but the tools remain the same.
So new tools are definitely needed?
Exactly. If we continue to use the science we have, we will always come to an apocalypse. If we continue to use, unfortunately, I have to say, such unpleasant things, the same religions, we will always end up in a dead end. The reason is very simple. Any energy, information, or structure lives like a battery for some time, and then it starts using the surrounding people, draining their life energy. And therefore, if we do not completely restructure our worldview and world description, then with us, well, nothing good will happen. And then, in order for us to live and survive, we will have to, well, basically at certain stages, go through some pandemics, some wars, and some environmental disasters. And this is primarily due to the fact that we have an overly rigid system that seems to work according to the principle, an old horse doesn't ruin the furrow, but the horse has long been dead. And it's not that it won't ruin it, it won't plow it at all. But in this case, we need to approach this calmly and easily. If the horse is dead, it means we have a tractor. If the tractor stops working, then we have some kind of tool that will plow this field using hydrogen engines, then gravitational ones, and then at some point we will realize that we are people who have energy resources and who can grow any plants with our thoughts. And then at some point, we will realize that there is no need to grow plants with our thoughts. We will simply be in love, and these plants will grow on their own relatively in the energy in which we exist. This is the progress that should happen, and it primarily starts with the upbringing of children, with their education, and creating conditions for their intuition to work, for them to have creativity, for them to have opportunities that they can fulfill. And you know why fools are lucky? Because they don't know that things might not work out, because thought forms are material and they work on the principle that we create a model for ourselves. And this model shapes events. That is, how does extrasensory perception work? Well, essentially, we mentally imagine that a person is healthy, and to the extent that we have positive experiences that we had in the past, it doesn't matter. When we plan to wash the dishes, we washed them. When we planned to take out the trash, we took it out. When we planned to go to the store, we went. When we thought about something and then did it, and at the moment when we have a clear understanding of what we are going to do, and then we think about it, the subconscious automatically connects and forms the events we want. And as a result, when I, at one time, being a complete atheist and not believing in any extrasensory perception or healing, saw the phenomenon that I can create an impact on a person through a mental model and their health changes because I had absolutely no understanding of medicine. I had amazing results from the fact that those who couldn't recover did recover in relation to the knowledge possessed by people with limited understanding, which was instilled in medical institutions. But unfortunately, in medical institutions, people study not health, but diseases. That is, they spend 99% of their time thinking about diseases. And I want to tell you that as of today, medical institutions are engaged in creating a system in the new sphere that allows people to get sick. That is, when someone thinks about diseases, diseases appear. When all radio and television channels talk about the flu will come. Because when I influenced a person, he was sick. And I mentally imagined him as healthy, observing the sensations I experienced at the moment when he was healthy. For some reason, he would recover. Therefore, we need to understand what controls us. An energy field formed by collective thinking, and collective thinking is created by two tendencies, either through fear or through love. We need to determine what the basis of fear is and what the basis of love is. Once we determine this, it will be easy for us to model something. Fear is always knowledge, and the mismatch of the parameters we have, namely with the parameters we normally plan. And when there is a combination of 70 to 30, when we are missing out on 30% of the possibilities from the knowledge we have, fear is triggered. Fear is a program of self-destruction or the destruction of what we currently fear. So if we fear wealth, we won't have it. If we fear difficulties, we will create them for ourselves. If we fear death, then it will also come to us. That is, for us, fear is knowledge. So when we clearly determine that the amount of knowledge creates conditions where we have less fear because we know a lot, but it's impossible to know everything, which means that no matter how much we know, at that moment we will have an even greater amount of what we have not yet learned. And therefore, the less knowledge we expend our energy on, whether it be acceptance and agreement or categoricalness, conflict, and the desire to destroy it, the more life energy we have to build something. And the next point is love. This is when all processes are harmonized, when we trust ourselves, trust the world, trust God, and begin to act from the energy resource that comes to us. Regarding the positive that already exists, as sad as it may sound in this world, that is, we take bit by bit where a person felt inspiration, where a person experienced a creative surge, where a person felt some positive state. We form this together, harmonize it, and create something new from it. And then it begins to interact with the surrounding world. That is, essentially, we have two parameters. We make decisions out of fear from the knowledge we have, that is dogmas, postulates, and the acknowledgement of certain things, or out of love when we feel what we want to achieve and act with the experience we have, with the readiness for whether it will succeed or not. That is, surprisingly, if we are ready to die, if we have an internal readiness to not achieve the result, then, because there are no rigid beliefs, we will not create the destruction of what we are not ready to accept, and we will always get a better outcome than we could have even imagined.
All right. Knowing your extraordinary abilities, which can, generally, without relying on past experience, just instantaneously act unconsciously, make absolutely correct conclusions, and even foresee the future, from what you have said, I want to ask. So we have, therefore, a certain number of people who are inclined towards humanity, towards constructive, some tendencies regarding each other. But nevertheless, there is no tool, you said. That is, there is no, as of now,
I would say there are tools, but even if we all take them together now, they will be ineffective.
What to do?
Because every person, even the kindest, is limited by their knowledge. For example, by their religion, their scientific activity, their teaching, education, and their experience. And at the moment when they interact with something, it's like, I would say, when we measure something with elephants, boas, or parrots. That is, they always measure everything by their own knowledge and experience. And it is precisely this conservatism that prevents him from making the world better, because he will shape it in the likeness of the education or positive experience he has received, or negative, where he will avoid some negative experience, whatever it may be. But we encounter this situation when a woman has had an unhappy relationship with a man who behaved inappropriately. She concludes for herself that she will no longer have any family life. She will go into business, and at most she will raise children. And when a woman lacks sexuality and relies on past experiences and on the reflexes she had, it will always lead to the degradation of society. Therefore, as I have already said, our ability for futurology is directly linked to children. That is, with their upbringing, with their education. And if we instill love, interest, harmony, certain human values, and support their creative potential, and by our example show respect and a benevolent attitude towards others, what will we achieve? We will get a completely different society. And when I looked into why, for example, corrupt individuals appear, why criminals appear, why these scoundrels appear, the answer is very simple. They are simply people who were not loved enough in childhood. That is, when their mother did not give them the necessary amount of love, they then compensate by expressing the aggression that formed in them because their potential was not fulfilled. And what is bad, it is good that was not realized in time. And it turns out we are in a vicious circle if we do not give proper respect and do not create favorable conditions for mothers who are raising children and who feel themselves first and foremost as women, attractive, sexual, charming, fulfilled, and appreciated by men. Then as a result, we will not get those children that we need. And first of all, we need to completely reconsider the institution of the family, because the word must should be changed to the word I like, I get pleasure from it. Because when we build everything on the level of you must, it lacks an energetic component in terms of love, and then we get dead actions, dead events, dead products, which as a result, well, again, in their dead state do not create favorable conditions for the development of creativity and fulfillment.
Well, essentially, you're describing the process that any probabilistic changes start with oneself, with the family. We all come from childhood and so on. But 8 billion people, by the way, are now on the planet.
If we believe the statistics.
If we believe the statistics. And it's clear that everyone will come to this conclusion in their own time, and maybe not even in this lifetime, and so on. So can there be any maybe external events that simply switch this mechanism like a lever? Bang. And this sphere you're talking about, the energy information background, it's formed not only from within, but also by some external influences.
Well, it's harmony. It's the combination of what's happening on planet Earth, and it's directly connected to what's happening in space. If you want to know what's happening with God, look at what's happening on our planet. That is everything. It's identical. And if you remember the phrase, as in micro, so in macro, what is in the heavens is also on Earth. What is on Earth is also in the heavens. And as you yourself remember, you said that if you want to know what kind of couple is this, man and woman, know that a woman is the internal state of this man. That's all. In the same way, who is our God? The one who manifests through us. If you want to know what questions he has, look at what questions we have.